Okay, next question is from Covington.
Covington.
If Charles could, how would he reform or reorganize the American education system? For example, the classroom structure, curriculum, and purpose.
Shoot the teachers. No, no, no.
You can't say that. I'm going to edit that out. That's not good.
I wouldn't do it.
Okay, well, you can't even, joke about that.
Why not?
Because...
Exactly. There's no answer for it. I would not shoot the teachers, just so you know. There. Do you feel better?
Okay.
But I'll tell you what I would do. Firstly, I would restore religiosity to the classroom. Of course, we have a problem in that America's religion is so diverse. But I think the question of things like school prayer and Christmas pageants and all that are something that are best determined by the local community and not by the Supreme Court. That's called subsidiarity.
Well, that violates equality.
Blah, blah, blah. Equality...
You're going to subject people to and put on a pedestal one religion?
No, not necessarily. I mean, as I say, I'd give return to the communities.
You'd give return to the community?
I would return the question to the communities. Because it was the local school boards that traditionally decided those things.
Okay, so they decide on how they're going to input inequality.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like now it's done by the Supreme Court. See? And being a great believer in subsidiarity, I think a group of elderly morons at the apex of society are probably not the best people to make these decisions. Mr. Justice Anthony Kennedy comes to mind, but there have been others. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Queen of the Stardust Ballroom.
Why would you say that?
Why would I call her the Queen of the Stardust Ballroom? Oh, I don't know. It just seemed apropos. I felt like it.
Okay.
Anyway, I never mind what I say.
Well, sometimes you do.
Yeah, well. Sometimes I'm offended by what I say. But at any rate, no. But that's a very basic thing. One thing I think the Europeans are very smart about is that at an early age, they divide children, this is inequality again, between the academic track and the professional track.
Oh, interesting.
So that those who are going on the academic track will learn Latin and Greek in elementary school. They'll be reading the Iliad and the Odyssey and the Aeneid in high school. And by the time they get to the university, they can do real stuff with that, as opposed I'm trying to learn Latin now at almost 60.
Wow.
You have any idea what that's like?
It's difficult.
It's very difficult. I mean, keeping the conjugations and declensions together.
Yeah.
It's very tough. But, in fact, my Latin master said I was a hero for what I was trying to do. But he really did, too. That's not a joke.
Okay.
But, nevertheless, so that would be part of it. In the German system, for instance, the Austrian system, traditionally they had the gymnasium for the academically bound students and the Realschule, the real school, for the technical bound students.
Okay.
And notice, we have a lot of safe space seeking children running around college campuses, but we have a real dearth of people like plumbers and carpenters who can actually do stuff. We have a lot of kids who have not been taught the classics. They haven't been taught history. They haven't been taught civics. They haven't been taught literature, which should be the cornerstone of an education. That's on the one hand, but they haven't been taught any useful skills either.
Yeah.
So what have they got? As our Yiddish friends would say, they've got bupkis.
That reminds me of a meme I saw on the internet. Well, it wasn't a meme as much as, it had a real point to it, but I was immediately won over. It was a brilliant one by George Carlin, where he hated the concept of sports where you either win or lose, and that's the reward. He talked about things where the reward is the thing itself. Repairing, gardening, cooking, sewing, all these other, real life skills where the thing, it's not a matter of, how great do you do it? You're learning and you're getting better.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a huge, that's a huge flaw in our society right now.
And it's something that goes all the way back to school. So probably something, you've got to do something physical for children's, physiques. But the emphasis, I mean, stop and think about it. A system where you've got teachers conniving at student athletes cheating so they can stay on the team.
Yeah.
Now that's just wrong.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, look, the unholy trinity of American public education were Noah Webster, Horace Mann, and John Dewey. Noah Webster, who created our particular way of spelling English, and also was one of the creators of the religion of the country, taught that American education should separate children from England and Europe.
Yeah.
Horace Mann was something of a quasi-atheist and believed the whole point in education was ideological, to form them into citizens.
Right, good Americans.
Good Americans.
Yeah.
And then John Dewey said it was all about socialization and basically turning them into the kind of people you want them to be. There isn't anything about real hard education in any of this. So I'm afraid that were American education given over to me, you could say goodbye to Webster, Mann, and Dewey.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Yeah, you can see, but you can see those are basically the three tenets of our education.
They are, and as they were added to, the education got worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got, basically, what are you trying to form? What are you trying to do with children? You're trying to form them spiritually, academically, and physically. Those are the things you're trying to do with them. And that's what a reorganized educational system should do.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, questions of style, everything from the Pledge of Allegiance to school prayer, I would definitely leave in the hands of the local school board. Why? Because they are directly responsible to the parents. And never, ever, 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 ever should we lose sight of the fact that the parents are the primary educators of their children.
Yeah.
I'd get rid of sex ed for that reason.
Of course.
Because that's the province of the parents.
Yeah.
It's not the province of some morons in the state capitol whose own lives don't bear close inspection. Why in God's name would you give such creatures control over the moral formation of children? I mean, why not just send them to San Quentin to be tutored by the prisoners? Why not? I read the curriculum on ethnic studies put out by the state of California for the schools. I've never read anything so crazy in my life. Teaching the children about the intersections of empire and power and blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? That's all got to go. And the problem is, unfortunately, that system, if it is not changed and replaced and altered, will collapse with everything else.
Yeah. Because
of the products it's created. That is to say, children who know nothing, who don't think of themselves as anything. Antifa kids, basically, squaring off against Proud Boys. Now, mind you, if you give me a question of Proud Boys versus Antifa, I guess I'll have to choose the Proud Boys, but don't think I'll like it.
Yeah.
It's not my idea of a good time. But that's the position our lords and masters are going to put ourselves into in another 5, 10, 20 years, however long. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we have sown dragon's teeth in education, and we will pay for it.
Yeah. I have one pet peeve that I've had for a very, very long time, which is I always believed philosophy should be taught in high school.
No.
Because I don't believe you can realistically be an atheist without a complete and utter disdain or disregard for philosophy, because you have no metaphysics to stand on.
No.
The principles of logic will just destroy any possibility of metaphysics for an atheist.
And the importance of logic and metaphysics for the kid who's starting out, who's in high school, It's huge because he's about to enter manhood.
Yeah.
Now, also, I have to say, I think far too many people go to universities. I think there are far too many
Yeah.
universities.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just bloated out of all get out. Everybody should go to college.
No, hairdressers do not need to go to college. It's
No.
okay.
No, you go to hairdresser school, learn to dress hair, and see. Well, this goes back to what I was saying. We don't have enough plumbers. We don't have carpenters.
Yeah.
We don't have glaziers. We don't have joiners. We don't have auto mechanics. You know, one of the reasons why we have so much in the way of immigration is because these sorts of skilled jobs are no longer taught in the United States.
Yeah.
And we need people who know how to do these things. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm certainly not against people who show academic aptitude going to college. But why in God's name would you force somebody to go to college whose deepest desire is to be an auto mechanic?
Well, it's about making them feel people do that because they feel insecure, that they're dumb. You know?
Well, listen, I feel insecure that my car is basically a heathen idol that I have to pay obeisances to because I don't know the first thing about it.
Right.
And you know, my car mechanic, Cam, is a Chinese fellow, lives through the Cultural Revolution, interesting guy. He is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's an astonishing fellow. There is nothing stupid in craftspeople. I'll tell you what is stupid, though. Stupid are the kind of administrators who have produced the sorts of universities we have. Now, they're stupid.
Yeah.
They are miraculously dumb. And, you know, they have no understanding of human nature. They have no real grasp on any real topics.
Yeah.
But they're in charge. And they do all the safe spaces and all that stuff. And they think it's so wonderful. And they turn the children given to their care, I don't say students, I say children.
Yeah, children.
Given to their care into wombats like themselves. Ooh, now who's stupider, class, you or me? You are, teacher. Not for long.
Yeah.
By the time I'm done with you, you'll be even stupider than I am. Remember, every real teacher does want his students to excel them in whatever it is.
That's true. Well, that's actually part of that coincides with the litany of humility, which I'm big on, in terms of because you say you ask for basically people to become holier than you, provided that you become as holy as you should be. That's a powerful line right there in that prayer. If you really want that, yeah. So back to my point on philosophy in high school. Just one other thing why I feel it's such a tremendous deficiency that you can see in people now because of a lack of philosophy. Joseph Pieper, in his book Leisure, the Basis of Culture, which we sell on Tumblr House, it's a very good book. I highly recommend it. He talked about the importance of philosophizing in general. Because in philosophizing, you're breaking through this little box that the world wants to create for you. You're wondering about the world. How does this happen? Where does this go? There are no limits to your thought. And that is a huge defect, I feel, in young people in general, is they don't wonder about the world. They just have this small little box that's created for them. They chase the rabbit on the stick. Yeah. The carrot on the stick, and that's it. That's their life.
And it's not much of a life.
No.
And they think because they have access to the internet, they have access to everything they could ever want to know, which is true in a sense, but not really, because as a tool for accessing knowledge, the internet is only as good as the background you already have. You know, I mean, you could literally find out anything you want to know about on the internet.
Yeah.
But you have to know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
You have to know. You have to have some idea. In other words, the same skills that you would have needed to go into a library and do meaningful research. You need those skills on the internet.
Yeah.
But they don't teach those skills.
No.
Now, if you have them, then the internet becomes like the biggest library that ever was, where you can literally pull out anything. But if you don't have those skills, then you're kind of stuck with social media and your few favorite news things that reflect the views you already have, that are based on nothing anyway.
Yeah.
So I think we've done this to death, but there's your answer.
Yeah.